Hey everybody, welcome to the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G. This week we are back for a very exciting episode. We're here with the president of the Baton Rouge General Foundation, Eric Showalter. I'm excited to hear about what they've got going on in the community, how they're involved, and what they actually do to use the funds and dollars that are gifted to them to better the patients and better the community around us. But before we get to that, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to the amazing folks that bring you this show each and every week. Building 5, Mimosa Handcrafted Jewelry, Falaya Real Estate, Lakeman's Health Center, Horizon Financial Group, Gage, Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge, and you know our outfits are always brought to you by McLavy Limited. Without further ado, my good friend, Mr. Eric, how are you, sir?
Good to be here.
Glad to have you, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk, and it's going to be great.
I know this is exciting. I feel like we resolved all the world's problems before we got on here, and now let's get down to business and figure out why we're so, educated enough to get here and solve these problems.
That's exactly right. No, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. So for those that may not be aware of who you are and what it is that you do, who are you and what the heck do you do, man?
Eric Showalter. I'm the president of the Baton Rouge General Foundation. I'm originally from Shreveport. I'm a Shreveport guy. I'm a proud North Louisianian, though, so just don't make no mistake about it. Grew up there, went to Louisiana Tech, proud Tech Bulldog. I'm in school at LSU right now, so I should have a degree from both here in the next 2 years. But left home and went to Virginia, then Washington, D.C. I lived there for 12 years, got into fundraising. Did higher ed, got into political fundraising, moved to D.C., did a lot of different things. I'd always wanted to be in healthcare fundraising. I took a tour of St. Jude's Hospital when I was 23. I knew that's exactly what I wanted to do. And my last assignment before I moved back to Baton Rouge was with the University of Maryland Medical Center. And then it was time to come home. Baton Rouge General wanted to build a new burn center. And I said, hey, if I got a deal for you, I can do it. And moved back and, long story short, became the president 5 years ago and been enjoying it ever since.
So we're on term year 6 for you.
I'm starting term year 6 here in the next couple of weeks.
I love that, man.
So, I know.
So before we get too deep into your history and everything, I do have a question. We had a past guest. They labeled Shreveport as the upstate of Louisiana. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that?
I am fine with it being the upstate of Louisiana.
Okay.
What I never like is to hear it called East Texas or South Arkansas. Shreveport is a great community, and it's very similar to Baton Rouge, and you can believe it or not, but it definitely is. There are some differences, but it has a massive Mardi Gras. Multiple parades, huge Mardi. Oh, huge, much bigger than Baton Rouge.
Well, oh yeah. I mean, we have a couple streets we block off downtown, and that's about it.
Huge crawfish festival, 7 days there. Big music and arts festival. Very proud Louisiana culture there. Big Louisiana sports fans. When I was growing up, obviously, you did have two teams there. You had the Dallas Cowboys and you had the New Orleans Saints, just because the Dallas Cowboys were America's team back then. I mean, everyone cheered for them. But my grandmother was a staunch Saints fan. And so we grew up heavy in that culture. And I'll tell you now, I mean, there's nothing but Saints fans up there. So it is, I will tell you, don't believe the gossip. If you have questions, talk to me. I'll be happy to clear those up for you. But proud of Louisiana, proud of the contributions that they make to the state. And I'm proud to be from there.
Okay, so you accept upstate Louisiana.
I'm fine with upstate Louisiana. That's what it is.
I mean,
it's north. Yeah.
So everybody that I've always heard talk about Shreveport has been that East Texas or Southern Arkansas. It's like Shreveport's it's 5 hours. It's way up there. Okay, that's like you're Texas basically.
Yeah.
It's
funny. Last summer during the crawfish festival, we actually went and got some crawfish from a local gas station. It was a guy from Opelousas, and he was there selling crawfish, and so we buy some. We're going to my sister's house, and he's like, we hear that no one eats crawfish in Shreveport. And I said, where are you from? He goes, I'm from Opelousas. I said, that's only 2.5 hours from here.
That's not that far. It's very close.
It's like that culture, it's going to, our culture stretches for me into Texas all the way into Beaumont. And I think east of here, it stretches to Pensacola. It's the state is very similar no matter where you go. There's some differences, no question, but it's all Louisiana.
It's interesting. He would go to try to sell crawfish when he thinks nobody eats crawfish.
Right.
If I thought nobody was consuming my product, that's not my first place to set up shop.
I don't know. He was there, and I'm like, well, he's sold out. I'm like, okay, yeah, good. So we
have crawfish festival up here.
That's right. We do this. So yeah, but it's great.
So you left little old Shreveport, Louisiana.
Yeah, I do. Love Baton Rouge though too. We live in a great state. We are all 2 degrees of separation from each other, 3 degrees of separation from each other.
Right. 3 maximum.
Maximum 3. And that's a good thing and a bad thing sometimes. But love Baton Rouge. This is a community that truly, if you're here, it will protect you. It will take care of you. And when something happens, you don't have to worry about this community looking out. We learned that during COVID.
Yeah.
When the hospital took on COVID and the other hospitals took on COVID, this community responded. We had people sending pizzas to the hospital and not even telling us they're coming. They just sent food because they wanted to do something to help.
Yeah.
This community loves the people that are in it, and it's a great thing.
The CYA 360 Business Leader Symposium returns to Baton Rouge in October. This all-day event focuses on the main threats to your business. Speakers will present on fiduciary duties, brand building, insurance strategies, cybersecurity, exit strategies, financial confidence, and executive wellness. Jay Johnson, coach of the national champ LSU baseball team, will deliver the keynote address. Join us for the 2023 Business Leader Symposium, October 5th at the Renaissance. For tickets, go to CYA360.com. That's CYA360.com.
So backing up from coming here for the Burn Center for Baton Rouge General, what were those previous endeavors? So your first endeavor, leave Shreveport. Where are you heading from there?
Yeah, so I head to Lexington, Virginia, and I go to work for an educational foundation up there. They were going to raise $10 million. They wanted to raise $10 million for educational programming. It's a national organization, and I said, why the heck not? I'm young. I don't want to get married. I want to go and travel. I want to go and see. And this is my opportunity. This is my way out. And I'll be back in a year. I'm going to go do this. We'll try it out, and I'll be back. And I loved it. I love to travel. I love to see. I love to do. I learned. I met with donors all over the country, and 5 years, $11.2 million later, I've been at it ever since. I loved what fundraising was. I loved the stories. I loved connecting people, and I loved it. It was time for me to move on. A good friend of mine had just been elected to his freshman term of the United States Congress, Robert Pittenger in North Carolina. And he said, hey, look, I need you to come run my campaign, be the director of my finance for my political action committee. I said, Robert, I've never done that before. He goes, we'll figure it out. So I followed him to Washington, D.C., had a great run there, enjoyed it. It was actually a very short time in my fundraising career, but it's the only thing that people remember. They still think of me as a political fundraiser. I only did that for a short time, my long career here now. And then I went to work for a company called CCS, and it's the largest international fundraising consulting firm in the world. And it's the brightest minds, the sharpest people. I show up there day one, and in the office, it's Yale, it's Cornell, it's Carnegie Mellon,
wow,
and it's Louisiana Tech, and I rep it. I was there strong, and they called me their poor man's Matthew McConaughey, and so loved the people there, and had to work very, very hard to make it in that space, but went around, did very large campaigns, Swanee. Went to do the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro Richmond. I did a very large church in Annandale, Virginia. I did several schools in Pennsylvania. And then my last assignment was the University of Maryland Medical System, their St. Joseph's campus.
Okay.
Did a $20 million surgery center there. And we knocked that out of the park. And it's time for me to come home.
So, what is it about like fundraising that kind of drew you into that initially?
I think it's people. My dad, so I always say my mother is an artist. My dad was a waterbed salesman. So for me, fundraising is painting with words. And so if you take my mother and my father, you get me. And I always enjoyed talking to people and telling stories and painting a picture of where we are, what we're doing, and where we could be. And found to be very effective and be able to do that and paint that picture in people's minds and be able to bring them on board. And I've never raised $1 for anything that I haven't been extremely passionate about.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of almost impossible to do so because you can hear it in somebody's voice inflection if they're not passionate about it or they don't believe in this in the cause.
You can't fake it.
No,
you absolutely cannot fake it. And so, anyone that raises money, anyone that's doing it, you can't fake it. If you're faking it, then you're going to be out. You can probably fake it, selling a water bed or doing something, whatever it is. I don't know that, but you can't fake this, and you have to be passionate about the mission, and you have to continue to drive it forward. And the minute that you're not, it's time to go.
Yeah,
it's time to go. I've told staff that, hey, look, if you don't love it, don't stay.
And that's for anything, really. That's right. Like if you find yourself and you wake up one day and you're like, I'm no longer happy doing this. COVID taught us that. It's okay to do a self-check every once in a while and say, am I still happy doing what I'm doing? Is this still something I want to do? In the entrepreneurial world, if you're doing your business and like it started out fun and it started out exciting, but then all of a sudden you realize you're really just doing it to chase $1 now, like you lose a little bit of yourself in that. You lose a little bit of that driving force that's going to do the better just to do the better, not because it'll make an extra buck.
That's right. That's right. You love what you do, no matter what it is. And I truly love it. I love it. And I've interviewed fundraisers and the ones that I want. I mean, I've asked the question, do you love this? Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I'm addicted to it. I love it. I love what it is. It's rare, but it's important to find. So
and you look at universities and organizations that put the jobs out there on their school boards, and you get students to come in and they're just learning, and there's no fault of their own. But you can hear the ones when they call you and they're like, you donated last year, we'd really appreciate it if you donated again this year. Or you hear the ones that say, you know what the impact was of that $25 donation that you made last year? Let me tell you about it. Let me tell you what that money did, what we did with that money, how it helped promote XYZ programs, how it helped XYZ people. That's what it did. Imagine if you gave us just that again this year, what we could do with that. Here's our game plan. Let me paint that picture for you.
That's right.
And you hear that in those voices and you're like, oh my gosh, this person's passionate.
Yeah.
But you got to have those people on the team in whatever field you're raising money or whatever field you're campaigning or fundraising. You got to have folks that have that passion and that love for really sharing with people the impact a penny can make.
Right. That's right.
This episode is proudly presented by Gage. Gage is a local company here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. For over 40 years, Gage has provided businesses with the very best telecommunications, IT, and standby power services available. Gage has a variety of services, including Gage Cloud Voice. It is the last phone system your business will ever need. You need to give your business the ability to be accessible anytime, anywhere, and with Gage's cloud-based phone system, you'll be able to accomplish just that. Not only do they have Gage Cloud Voice, they have fully managed IT services that are proactive network monitoring, 24/7, 365, help desk, business continuity. They are there for you. What you're also going to need is some cybersecurity. Gage is there to safeguard your business from potential cyber threats, even when you aren't aware they exist. Gage also is power and leaders in standby generators. They are the #1 Cummins dealer on the Gulf Coast and provide generators to homes and businesses of any size so you can keep life going. Gage, better connected, a proud sponsor of the Patty G Show.
I'll tell you, I had, this is a parallel. I had a guy at Best Buy sell me speakers.
Okay.
He was
like home speakers or car
speakers.
Okay.
This guy had, I think he told me he did graduate from high school. That was it. He was the greatest salesman that I can ever remember in my life. He talked about these speakers, not that they were going to give great sound, but he talked about them as if they were people. And he truly believed and was very passionate about what they did, how they worked, and how much he loved them. He didn't say one thing about, hey, you know what? When you're watching the Saints game, these are going to be the best speakers you've ever bought. He never said it.
Yeah,
we just talked about it. It was the greatest I've ever seen, and he sold himself, but he sold those speakers, and we didn't even talk about how loud they were or how good the sound was. He just said, man, this is what they are. This is what they do. This is why I think they're so great. He painted the picture, and it's a very similar thing. So anyways, I draw that parallel to tell you that it doesn't matter what it is in business.
Yeah.
Don't ever think about it as selling. If you truly believe in where you work, who you work for, what you're doing, no matter how big or small it is, find those things that you truly believe in. It could be for a bank. It could be for anything. Yeah. Talk about them with people.
And when you talk about it authentically, it'll come across, you know. You may have gone in to buy a washer and you walked out with speakers.
Exactly. I didn't even go to buy anything.
Called your wife. Hey, we got speakers. Where's the washer? Doesn't matter, babe. We're listening. The TV's going to sound great.
We got them. And they're going to be delivered and installed for us because it's that good. Like I'm all in here, you know? So it's true. And I think that's something great about Louisiana. That's something great about, you know, no matter where someone is from here, people are very passionate about where they're from. They're passionate about Louisiana. I ran into a lot of people living in Washington, D.C. that were from Louisiana. And you have an instant connection. I mean, and they love it. It doesn't matter. They're living somewhere else. They're doing something else. They've lived in 20 years. But, man, they'll talk about Louisiana for a long time.
I've found once you leave the state and you start looking at license plates, when you find somebody with a Louisiana plate, they're immediately your best friend.
Oh, yeah.
You don't even ever have to say a word to them. You don't ever have to meet them, do anything. But as soon as you leave the state and you find somebody with Louisiana, you're like, they know what a hot summer feels like.
That's right.
They know that crack of that first crawfish whenever it's season. They know Death Valley, or they know, you know, you're making all these assumptions about them and you have no idea who this person is, but it's like, Louisiana, we got a connection. We know you. We're people. We're the same people.
That's right.
You know, same thing when you leave Baton Rouge and you go to a different city in Louisiana. Where are you from? Baton Rouge. Oh, Baton Rouge.
That's right.
You know, you got to find what draws people in, what attracts them.
That's right.
And so for you, when you were doing all these fundraising and getting these medical centers up, you said you knew medical fundraising was what you wanted to be in when you walked through St. Jude. What about it sparked something in you where you were like, you know, this is what I've got to do. This is my calling.
So during the tour, they talked a lot, but obviously St. Jude's it's a fundraising machine, you know, and they raise a ton of money from people who give small amounts. They host small fundraisers, you know, but they connect with the mission. And I think for me, it was, look, this is what the medical system of St. Jude's can provide for families and children and for survivors and even those who've lost their battle. This is what we can do. But this is what philanthropy does. It was amazing to see that, yeah, they could treat cancer. They could cure. But it was everything else. And, hey, sometimes we can't afford the latest and greatest technology. Sometimes we can't afford this imaging machine. You know, sometimes, you know, we can help people and get them on a payment plan, but if they're going to be here for a week, we can't pay for their hotel. We can't do so. We've got to raise money, and we got to partner with the Ronald McDonald House. We got to make sure these people can stay here and be fed and be cared for so that their children can survive.
Right.
Where would they be without the fundraising component of what is St. Jude's? Nowhere. They wouldn't be St. Jude's. So I think for me, I never understood that. I thought, oh, well, this is just a medical center. You show up. All this stuff comes with it because they make a lot of money here. It's expensive. I get it. And they have it. Yeah. But it's not. It was fundraising. And it was shocking to listen to them talk about what philanthropy does and the impact that it has. And All you have to do is speak to one person who's been there, or to any hospital, or to anywhere that understands that gift, and very few things would happen. And so, when I was young, I wanted to be a doctor. I thought that was the greatest, job you could possibly have. And I'm not a doctor, but I love medicine. I love the medical field. I love what it is. It's complicated. It's hard. It moves fast. If you do everything right, you make a small margin of profit there. And I've always been fascinated by it, and so it was a natural fit for me. It's all I've always wanted to be. Maryland was a great place to learn. Their competition was Johns Hopkins. And so they iron sharpens iron. But what I loved about the University of Maryland medical system, it's why I love Baton Rouge General, is because they really focused on the community. They treated people within those four walls, but man, they went outside of them. And they really focused on education. They went to businesses. They talked. They cared. They were invested deeply in what Baltimore and Maryland was. And that's what Baton Rouge General is. I think it's why it works so well for me, because they focus so much outside those walls, of what we do and how we can impact everyone.
So they say they want to do a burn center. They want to open up a foundation, and you just throw your name in the hat.
It was time to come home. Louisiana, it's in your bones. You can travel, you can stay gone for 12 years, you can make great friends, you can do a lot of things, but Louisiana just draws you in, it calls you back, and it was time, and I wasn't married at the time, and I said, look, I'm a New Orleans, too big, Shreveport, too small, Baton Rouge, just right. And it was a God moment. I looked on LinkedIn, and there it was, Major Gifts Officer, Baton Rouge General, apply. And so I applied, and I'd had a lot of experience doing it, and I never forget they called, and they were like, "Are you serious? You live in D.C. Is this a serious thing? Are you really considering this?" I'm like, "Absolutely, I'd love to come down there." And they said, "Well, look, we could do a phone interview." I said, "I'll fly down. I'll fly down." They're like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "No, I'll be there. You just tell me when." And flew down. And had the first interview. And I'll never forget sitting there and talking to them about what I've done and what I do and my passion for raising money. And they said, well, look, we'd love for you to meet our campaign chair. Her name is Annette Barton. She's one of my best friends to this day. And they said, but we can set up a phone interview for you to do that. I said, I can stay. I said, I can meet her tomorrow. I'll change my flight. I'll stay. I wanted the job.
Yeah, you were all in.
I was coming home.
Yeah,
and I said, no, if she's around tomorrow, I'll change my flight, and I'll call the office in Baltimore, tell them I'm sick, because I'm sick today, and I'll stay. So we stayed, we met, and it went really well, and I went back, and they said, look, well, we'd like to talk to you again, and we'll call you. I said, no, I'll fly back down. A couple weeks later, I'm flying back down undercover. CCS doesn't know, and get the job. I wasn't going to be denied. And they said, when can you be here? I said, I'll be here in 2 weeks. And so I went back and gave her my 2 weeks, packed up, and got back down there. So I was ready. And within that 2 week time, I had a chance to understand what burn was. I'd never been around a burn center before.
Yeah. It's not something you first think of when you think of a hospital. Thank you so very much to Building 5 for becoming the latest sponsor of the Patty G Show. We are going to be filming once a month at Building 5. We're going to post about it on our social so you can come and visit with us. Building 5 is an excellent food establishment if you're into sharing boards and really getting a creative menu. Misty and Brumby have done an excellent job of creating an environment that's warm, welcoming, and inviting for every single occasion. Go on over to Building 5 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and tell them that the Patty G Show sent you.
Baton Rouge General at the time had the only verified burn center by the American Burn Association within 300 miles. We still have the oldest. To find a burn center that is as well established, has our technology, our innovation, our doctors, our nurses, our care teams, any of that, you're going to go 300 miles east or west of here. Wow. And that just goes to speak to what we have here. And so that was the charge. And so we hit the ground running, and it's like, look, we need to do this in a few years and let's go. And about halfway through it, my boss turned in her resignation. She wanted to move on and threw my name in the hat. And I was actually going through cancer treatment at the time. I'd been diagnosed with lymphoma a year after moving here. And so I went through the interview process. I was completely bald, no eyebrows, no hair, and went through that process while being treated at Baton Rouge General. So it's my home. It's right now it's a huge part of my life.
Yeah, when you were all in, I was all in.
I had no idea how all in I was, but it's been great to me, and I just try to pay it back every morning when I get there.
So when you move back to Louisiana, it's not foreign to you, right? But your immediate connections are probably lost a little bit.
Yeah.
You're from Shreveport, you come back to Baton Rouge. It's not like you're coming back with a wife who's established or a spouse that's established. You're coming back kind of by yourself. How do you go about finding people to donate?
Yeah. I will say, look, I grew up in Louisiana. I get it, North Louisiana.
Upper state.
But being gone for 12 years and coming back, it was different. It was different, especially coming from Washington. But I knew 5 people. And my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife, was one of those.
Okay.
And I didn't know hardly anyone. It was amazing how quickly it happened just by putting forth the effort and going out and talking about it. I found one person who was interested. I had that conversation. I said, can we find some folks that you may think want to learn more about what we're doing here just here? So just let me tell the story. And it was amazing how people didn't know that we had the burn center, how long we'd had it, what we were doing there, what we were trying to do, and how unique it was to Baton Rouge.
Right.
And I built off of a small win here and a small win there. Some of the relationships that I made 5 years ago, 7 years ago now, but when I first started, didn't really pay off till 5 years later. But some paid off immediately. But I just took what the situation gave me and we just capitalized off those small wins. And I was never treated like an outsider. I was never treated like, oh, you're not from Baton Rouge. We're not gonna have this meeting, or you've been living in Washington D.C. You're not from here. You didn't go to school here. I never got that ever.
That's great.
Never. And you hear that sometimes, like, oh, you're not from Baton Rouge. You're an outsider. I've never ever been treated that way, ever, not by one person. And we just went about the process. It was hard. I was there early. We stayed late, and met some incredible people and continue to meet incredible people. But it was just sometimes it was just picking the phone and calling people I didn't know. But it's like you mentioned, hopefully I was that person, maybe I was, that called and said, hey, look, I know you've been supporting us. You've supported us in the past. Let me tell you about some of the things that we've been doing, and let me tell you about what's going on now. And it was just enough for them to go, wow, I had no idea. And we went from there. So,
yeah. I mean, it's amazing to see in Baton Rouge specifically how, if you're trying to find somebody, because we are 2 or 3 links apart,
yeah.
If you say, I need to talk to somebody who'd be interested in this, they're going to rattle off 5 to 10 people.
Yeah.
And then those people are going to rattle off 5 to 10 people. And then you're like, wait a second, I went from knowing 5 people, now I know 50 people.
Right.
50 people, and 2 of them donated. That's great.
Yeah.
And that's another component of fundraising and just being in business and entrepreneur in general. The percentage of closings to the percentage of non-closings is not often stressed enough, and people think I make 100 calls, I'm going to close 100. You're not.
That's right.
Not everybody, for a variety of reasons, is going to be able to commit. And you have to understand that going in, the no's are going to outweigh the yeses. Yep. But cherish the yeses and really just go all out when you get that yes,
Yeah. And there are lots of books about this, but nothing can be, more true is you find connectors. When you know you have one that can connect you. There were people that were nice to me that didn't have to be nice to me. Very early on, Annette Barton, who's very well connected, she sits on the Baton Rouge Area Foundation board, many throughout Baton Rouge, never hesitated to call or to help me make an introduction. Rolf McCollister. Rolf McCollister did not need to be nice to me. He opened his doors. He wanted to help. He was there. Prospect review, whatever I needed him to do, he was there. Robert Schneckenberger, who's head of Hancock Whitney Bank here in town, didn't have to be as nice to me as he was. He would call anyone. He would invite anyone. He would do anything he could to help, because these are individuals that truly care about the city. And we had something we were trying to do, and they could not have been better to me when I knew no one here. And there were others, but those are three that really stuck out early, that really, really, really were fantastic to me. So
Patty G Show is proudly brought to you by Mimosa Handcrafted Jewelry. Mimosa Handcrafted Jewelry is a local business right here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They create handcrafted jewelry for everyday use, that special occasion, whatever it may be. Gentlemen, they've got amazing jewelry both for male and female. Everyone is their audience. You know, after years of experimenting with everything from ceramic jewelry, glass beads, and enamel, they've settled in on the ancient art of lost wax casting. Is their main form of creating their work. They cast everything in bronze, sterling silver, and 14 karat gold. Every step of the way is done here right in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Proud sponsors of the Patty G Show. Mimosa Handcrafted Jewelers. Get out there and tell them that Patty G sent you, and they're going to take great care of you on your next order. So, I mean, you raise this money for the Burn Center. What's the next step?
So we raised the money, and we finished this campaign on December 31st of 2019.
Just got it in the last year.
Right. So 2019, we finished this thing up. Life is good. LSU is undefeated. Joe Burrow has the Heisman. Things are good. Things are really looking good. We're finishing this campaign. We're putting the wheels back on this foundation after the campaign. And we're hiring a new team. We're moving. And 3 months later, COVID hits. So two things happened. One, we needed every available bed to treat COVID. And it came in waves, big waves, to the point sometimes where the entire medical system was fully dedicated to COVID. We were still delivering babies. We were still treating cancer. We still had heart attacks. All that was still going on. But a lot of our resources were going towards COVID. And we couldn't build the burn center. And our role as a foundation shifted overnight. We still needed to raise money, but the hospital's needs changed. Look, the burn center is great. Hey, done. We need personal protective equipment. We need goggles. We need gowns. We need, all this type of stuff. Our care teams can't take a break to get food. We need food for them to give them lunch. Their pets need food because they can't stop at Petco on the way home because, they don't want to expose anyone to COVID. We didn't know what COVID was.
Right.
We need all these things. We need them brought here, and we need you to do it. So we turned into that emergency response vehicle for the hospital. And the hospital still needed money. They needed money because, the needs changed daily. So we were raising money unrestricted. We started a COVID-19 operations fund. We really blasted that out there. And I will tell you, when COVID first hit, people were looking for things to do.
Oh, yeah.
How do we help? What do we do? We'd send out an email and we'd raise $30,000.
Email?
Over an email. It would just be coming in. Big gifts. People would call. People were wanting to know how they could help. We needed food. We got it. A lot of organizations came together. They donated. We got together with them. We fed the system. We ran meals. I think at the end of the day, I lost count, around 75,000 meals delivered between all of our campuses, clinics, everything we were doing. So the foundation shifts into that, and we find ourselves in that mode for 2 years, along with raising money. But it just goes to show you what a foundation does inside of a hospital or a university or whatever it is. You don't look for money. I tell the doctors all the time, I'm not looking for money. I'm looking for need.
Yeah.
What is the need? And then how can I help you get it? And that's when we go looking for funders. And when we go looking for donors and people who want to invest or support, the conversation is, we're not just going in there and having a conversation about money. We're talking about what's going on. We're talking about what the need is. And I'm not going to have a conversation with anyone unless I know that dollar's going to hit the bullseye. And I know it because I've spoken to several doctors and administration and the front line. I know that this is going to work and this is what we need.
Yeah.
And so when we did COVID, hey, I need meals. I know I need them. I need groceries. They need to be able to come and cook. They're tired of, they can't just eat cheeseburgers and shrimp po' boys every day. I need groceries. Okay, get done. We stayed. The foundation stayed on site every day. We never left. And I think it was incredibly valuable for us. And that's why we're in the hospital every single day. That's why we go to department meetings. We're in cardiology meetings, cancer meetings. You name it, we're there because we're there to learn. And we're going to find those areas where we can support.
Well, and being off campus doesn't give you that privilege, because then if you're off campus or you're not seeing what the needs are every day,
right.
Then you're sitting in the meetings or you're getting an email saying, hey, we need 100,000 gowns or whatever, to last us for so many months. And you're like, okay, we'll see what we can do.
That's right.
And the impact, the feel, the connection to how much of an emergency it is lost.
That's right.
Because it's just coming through email, phone call, whatever it may be. But when you're there and you're seeing what's happening firsthand, you're able to realize this is a much bigger deal than we thought.
That's right.
And having that conversation with people and being able to describe what you're doing, what you're seeing, how their money is impacting it, could take somebody from, going from $1,000 to $5,000. And just letting them know where it matters and how it's going to be used can change how much they're willing to contribute. And that is just, you can't substitute a quick call for a quick dollar whenever you can spend the time with somebody and really educate them on what you're seeing, and for them to be like, wow, okay, how can I help?
Yeah.
Where can I help? What can I do?
We still talk a lot about burn, and we still talk about burns and the burn center, because it's something that we do that's unique, and we have a lot of great conversations with donors and people about what that burn center is, and you can get very high level with what it is, but we talk to people, and we only know this because we're around the meetings. Burns have a season. So your burn seasons are right at the beginning of the wintertime when people are turning on heaters for the first time, campfires, you name it. You have some, in the summertime, and you have some burn seasons there too. But in Louisiana and in Baton Rouge, there's this spike. Well, our former head of our burn center is from South Texas and was trained at Chapel Hill, North Carolina. So she's not from here. She's like, what is this spike in burn? It's around April and May. It makes no sense to me what it is. It's crawfish season.
Uh-huh.
And it's amazing the conversations we have with donors and people about, hey, look, let me tell you about crawfish season. And we even broke it down, and we learned that, look, it's not just that they're being burned, it's pediatric burns. Mm-hmm. And it's not just pediatric burns, but it's pediatric burns on their feet. Why is that happening? Well, because the pot's spilling. And when it spills, kids are usually around it watching. And they're not wearing shoes. So your burn patients are coming in with these, common burn injuries around that time. And where's the education to be? Okay, well, the education now needs to shift away from frying turkeys. We've kind of got that figured out. We need to start doing some education now and outreach around boiling crawfish. So it's amazing. You don't learn those types of things and those stories unless you're around it. And I would say for any business that you're in, you need to be around the front line, no matter what it is. You need to talk to them. You need to learn. You need to understand everything you can about it so you can talk about it. You never know when something you say or something you do is going to be important.
Right.
So that's where we find our greatest impact and our ability to help.
Thank you to Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge for making this show possible. Nick Pentis is a past guest. We love having him on. Listening to him talk about the culture they have over at Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge is really an incredible thing to hear. how they treat not only their employees, but every customer that walks through the door. You are more than just a number to them. They're going to give you that white glove concierge service every step of the way. They're going to make you feel like family and take what can be a stressful time in people's life, shopping for a car. They're going to make it so enjoyable and so pleasurable. You're going to want to go back there time and time again for every new vehicle. Thank you so very much for Mercedes-Benz of making this show possible.
So during COVID, y'all did a little bit more than just give masks and gowns and food. Y'all did something unique where you created a connecting tool with patients and their family.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about that.
So, being around every single day, we were speaking to the front line, and one day I was walking by and talking to the head of our information systems department, the department that connects our electronics, our computers, everything, and much more. And I said, "Look," I said, "What are you hearing? What's going on? I'm looking for some more things to do here." He goes, "Look, I learned about something the other day." He goes, "Let me get one of my nurses and let's sit down." Brings in one of his nurses, and we sit down, and she goes, and she's in tears, and she goes, "We've got a real problem up on the COVID floors, and it's not just on COVID floors. It's in the birth center, it's in the cancer center, it's everywhere." She goes, "People can't see their families. We're locked down in here. No one's coming in. It's not a patient, and these patients can't see their families, and they can't talk to them." She said, "We're using our cell phones to connect people via FaceTime in the ICU." And she goes, "But the other day, I had a couple patients that weren't going to make it. And we didn't know if our cell phone batteries were going to last long enough for all of them to be able to say goodbye. We need something, and we got to fix this problem." And look, children being born, these cancer patients are here for sometimes a week at a time, getting treatment. They can't see their families, and our outcomes are going to be worse because we're losing that family component. And so the head of information systems, his name's Bennett Sherman, he goes, "Look, I got an idea." He goes, "We can buy iPads, and I found these unique stands that have 4 wheels, and there's a speaker that's right in the center." He goes, "They look like robots." He said, "But they're $2,000 a piece for everything." He goes, "We don't have the money." He goes, "But if we can do it," he goes, "we can start connecting these patients more." And that's all I needed to hear. So we set out the next day, we start putting this thing together, and it's iPads and rolling stands. So we start making calls to folks that are in the communications realm, to insurance companies, to you name it. And we said, "Hey, look, we've been working with you on some things. You've donated some meals. You've asked. We've talked. You used to support us in the past. Hey, look, we've got something here that's unique, and it's exactly what we need right now. And we need 30 of these things, and we need to get them moving as soon as possible." People were in. They were all in. What's neat about that program is we've got videos and we've got photos of people connecting with family members, not just locally, but around the world, birth of children, grandchildren, cancer patients started to come back. Their energy started to come back. COVID patients were able to talk. Family members were able to be put at ease. Anxieties were lowered. Our staff was rejuvenated. That pressure point was off, and we hit the bullseye. We did exactly what the medical system needed us to do. Now we're still using them. They're being used in our emergency departments when there are language barriers with your Google Translate and your translation services. People that are hearing impaired, we can communicate with them as well. Our residents are able to train with telehealth via our iPads and rolling stands. We're still using them. And even our arts and medicine program, they're able to go into patient rooms, play music, do art, draw, paint. All of these things are still happening because of that moment in time. We're able to identify this need. So it was it's a great moment for us, and those are the things we live for.
Isn't that crazy how that works?
Yeah.
You have this initial need of connecting patients with their families, and then we get on this backside of the situation, and we're like, wow, we can still use this technology, and then that question comes in, which, we have the luxury of being able to look back on history and say, why didn't we do this before?
Yeah.
Why haven't we always been doing this?
Yeah.
Why haven't we been asking the family members, do you have anybody you want to call? Do you have anybody you want to FaceTime, you want to see? You know, is there anybody that can't be here today that you wish they could be? Can we get them on the phone? You know, giving that ability with technology to connect people is so huge, you know, and it's during COVID, it kind of opened up the eyes of, well, just because you live away from somebody doesn't mean you don't have to see them, you know, and for us, it could reconnected and kind of sparked and continued to carry on some relationships of mine out of town and out of state, where beforehand we would see each other when we came into town, we'd talk, text maybe a little bit, but now it's, well, what can we do with this technology? Oh, we can FaceTime. Well, it's like we're basically in the same room. Right. You know, we're not physically there, but seeing somebody and having a conversation with them is far different than talking into a box.
It's true.
It's a total different level of connection, both physically and emotionally, where if I'm seeing you and we're having a conversation, it's totally different than when I'm not seeing you because of how much we communicate non-verbally. And we're able to see that, be a part of it. And we're like, wow, I see you, you see me, this is great. And it can change somebody totally from having a down day to seeing something and being picked up immediately. Yeah. I mean, I know that's case in point for me when I come home and I see my little man at the window. Doesn't matter what happened that day, it's now good. And like just having that ability to give it to him via an iPad, it's huge.
It's huge. The patients treated at the hospital receive the best care that can possibly be provided. There are other things to care than medicine. You know, when we were building the burn center, one of the biggest things that we kept saying was like, these rooms are going to be bigger, and they are. Our ICU rooms in the burn center are 3 times the size of a normal hospital room. And it's because patients need their families there. They need to be around them, especially here in Louisiana. And it's those types of things that makes up the difference. You know, we have an arts and medicine program that's fully funded by the foundation as well now, where patients are able to paint and do music, and they can do songwriting, and they can sing, and they can play instruments. And it is amazing. It's statistically proven. If they're participating in those activities, they have better outcomes. What they will paint are pictures of home, their gardens, their grandchildren, their house, just in general, their dog, whatever it is. It is reminding them what they're there fighting for. And it will brighten their day. And if they're singing and they love to sing, or they sing at church and they can't sing at church because they're there, the ability to sing with someone, it brings them back. And it's real medicine. You know, those iPads it was real medicine. It really worked. And that's the power of philanthropy. That's what philanthropy does. That's what generosity does. It's what love of your community does. It does those things. And it's a powerful thing, and it's something that never gets old. Never.
Yeah. No, seeing people light up from a reaction of an interaction with a family member or painting or doing something like that, that'll get you any day, and that'll make you realize why you're there.
Welcome to the brand new Falaya mobile app. We took all the same tech that's helped hundreds of people sell their homes themselves and packed it into an easy-to-use app for your phone. When you download the Falaya mobile app on either the Apple or Android App Store, you'll immediately be able to see the power of this game-changing tool. From the seller's dashboard, you can navigate to all the information that you need. We intentionally separated everything into key groups, such as tasks to be completed, buyer leads for your listing, and contact information for everyone involved through closing. When you get an offer on your property, you can simply review and respond all within the app. No matter where you are in the world, you'll be able to monitor everything that's going on with your property from listed to sold. It's truly the power of Falaya in the palm of your hand. Download the app and see for yourself. Falaya, it's real estate reimagined.
So moving out of COVID and recognizing the mixed use of what y'all have purchased, what is the foundation focusing on right now?
Foundation right now, we are going to focus our efforts, on community and community health. And we are going to be raising money for the hospital system's first mobile primary care healthcare unit ever.
Okay.
So one of the things that is really big for us right now is access. How can people access healthcare? How can they be educated on healthcare? Healthcare is complicated. It is intimidating. Hospitals are not places people want to go. And even if they're supposed to be there when they walk through the front door, it could be a confusing place and people can easily be lost. And I would be curious how many people get to the hospital and don't go in. Not to mention the people who make every excuse in the world not to go or go to a doctor. So what we need to do is we need to provide more access. And so we are going to raise money this year for a mobile health unit that's going to do well visits, primary care visits, screenings, vaccines, mental health assessments, and many other things. And we're going to take that and we're going to take it out into the community. Okay. We're going to focus our efforts first in the North Baton Rouge area, which is close to our mid-city location. Our mid-city location reopened fully in 2020 with COVID. And what we've found is we still can't get the patients that we really need to see, and they're just a few blocks, a few miles away. They can't get to us because of transportation or whatever it may be, or they're scared to come. We're going to work with their church. We're going to work with their community centers. We're going to work with the schools, and we're going to work with other community leaders, and we're going to go out to them. And what's really cool about the program is that it's going to be staffed by our family medicine residents. Baton Rouge General is a teaching hospital. So we have a family medicine residency program there, and we have faculty. They're going to staff it. One of the things that led us to this was understanding our residents' desire to do community health and to go and help those who are less fortunate and don't have access. And where are they thinking about going to do this? Where they want to go to Mexico, they want to go to Haiti, they want to go to these other places. All very, very, very noble and places that need help, no question about it. But what we're telling them now is, hey, look, we're going to give you the opportunity to do this in your own backyard. We're gonna send you a couple blocks from our mid-city location, and you're going to do a heck of a lot of good really, really quick. So that's our big focus for next year. That's our big primary focus is how we can do that, how we can raise money for that unit, operating expenses, and to be able to provide that service here for the next few years. And so we're going to be focused heavily on that. Our Baton Rouge General Mid-City Administration told me that is their number one need is this mobile primary care vehicle. So we're going to provide that, and we're really, really, really excited.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Now you're able to actually get out and get to people where they are, because it is a challenge for some, and those that need it the most is transportation.
That's right.
Whether it's the elderly or whether it's the unfortunate, it's a situation that can be resolved with a tool like this. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
That y'all are able to do that.
Philanthropy is also going to, look, we're going to cover some expenses, and we're going to make this healthcare, affordable, and the access is going to be there as well. And patient navigation is going to be a big part of that. We're going to send a patient navigator out with the team that can meet with whoever it is, and if there's further care that's needed, then they're going to help navigate them into the system, almost white glove them all the way in. We're going to be able to help people sign up for Medicaid so that they can have the proper insurance and the education on that, and how simple the process can be, answer questions. And so it's going to be a comprehensive piece. What's neat too is that a lot of those residents work at Mid-City, so there'll be a continuum of care. The resident that they saw out in the community will be the one that they probably see when they go. And it's not just residents. Faculty members will be part of this as well, nurse practitioners, lab techs, all that's coming with it. But these residents are very passionate about it, and they're ready to go. So we're excited about providing it for them.
That's great. Yeah. And y'all do a few events a year, don't y'all?
We do.
What events y'all do throughout the year?
Two primary events. We've got one that's coming up here October 19th. It's at Topgolf. It is for our emergency department. Very hardworking folks in the emergency department. It's the front door to the hospital. And if you're coming to the hospital, more than likely it will be for an emergency department visit, or someone that you know will come visit our emergency department. So supporting them is a top priority for us. So we raise money for them. The tournament is a blast. We'll have a whole floor at Topgolf. We do for 3 hours. We moved it from the summertime to October for the weather. Our doctors come. A lot of the emergency department staff come. Administration's there. A lot of our partners, donors. We sell bays, and we raise money for them. They get to have that money, and they can buy equipment to support the residents that work with them in the emergency department and other things that they need to provide the best care. So we do that one. That's in the fall. In the spring, we have Raise the Barn. It's our big event. Last year, gosh, we had 600 people at a great band. We do a little indoor-outdoor. It's a Western theme. We call it Country Cocktail.
Love it.
It's great. We have a blast. So we raise a lot of money for the hospital with that event. Second year, last year, we raised almost $300,000. So it's growing fast. It's a blast. So we do 2 events, and we really focus those on the things that we need at the hospital. So it's great to get the community involved, and it's great to see people make friends. And the cool thing is, our CEO's there, our executive team is there, our doctors there. So come meet them. They're there. They're there to meet you. They're there to interact with you, and we just have a lot of fun.
So, and what I love about the foundation is what you kind of are doing with this mobile unit, right? You sit there and y'all ask questions. You have conversations, not just, all right, we're here to support you and whatever you need. Let us know how much money it is. What do you need to do whatever you're trying to do? Okay, this is the number. Great, we're going to go raise it. Yeah. It's, what are you missing? What from your care services that you provide would you like to do more with? How would you like to expand? How would you like to grow? It's very intentional in what y'all ask. It's very intentional in how you raise. It's not just saying, support our general fund. It's expensive to run the hospital. We need money. It's not that. It is, here's what we're doing. Here's where the community needs us the most. This mobile unit, for example, that's incredible. During COVID, they need to see families. It's finding where the services are missing and figuring out a solution. And once you have that solution, great. Now let's go and let's make this a reality.
And people are brilliant. If you ask the questions, and we do, we spend 3 or almost a full quarter, a full 90 days, really, really, really drilling in. Usually around the springtime, the hospital will do a strategic plan for the year, and we'll start to look and see what those priorities are. And based off of the mission, based off of what we need, we'll start to have some conversations. Hey, look, I noticed that the access is a problem, or that we're trying to provide more points of entry, or that Mid-City is not being able to go out and see as many patients as they need to. What do you think? What do you think we could do? And it's amazing. People go, God, we had a mobile unit. Okay, well, gosh, a mobile unit. Okay, well, yeah, we could provide greater access. It's less expensive. It's less intimidating. Okay, but hey, look, if you do that, though, know this. You can't just go out and see people. You need to be able to navigate them. You need to be able to sign them up for health insurance. You need to have those conversations. People are brilliant. They'll start thinking, and then I'll go, okay, God, sounds good. Okay, well, I'll go up. Let me go talk to administration. Let me go talk to the CEO. And go, yeah, you know what? If we did this, it would do this, 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 and this too. Okay, we got something here. And look, we hear a lot of things, and sometimes they don't make it very far because it's like, well, look, there's a problem, but we could do this and this, and instead. But this was one that really hit, and we try to find the ones that everyone agrees on.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you got a real winner. You got a real winner. And I will tell you, the projects and the things that we do right now, everyone agrees. Everyone says, no, man, I tell you, when you do that, that's big. And that's what it should be. That's what philanthropy should be.
Yeah.
We don't ever assume that it's what someone needs in the hospital, because you could get things really wrong. We spend a lot of time understanding, and what's cool about that is it's organic. When you go out to start talking about it, you've had so many conversations about what it is and why. You know it, and we're excited about it. It's gonna be a great thing for us, and it's something I think we will fund and continue to fund. And hey, maybe down the road, do you do another one? Do you have a couple? Is it something that really works for us?
Yeah.
I think so. It's not a new thing. We've actually started following Harvard University, Tulane, Vanderbilt, some of these big ones. yeah, man, they're in. That's just the things that they're doing, and they're tracking their results and what they're doing. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean it's very powerful for the community.
Yep.
You know, and having a whole fleet of these is something that could turn into a reality very fast. And think of how much better the community would be with it.
You want to improve health, you can talk about it, or you can go out there and do it.
Yeah.
And we're going to go out there and we're going to do it. We're going to go see them. We're going to go to them, and we'll start one person at a time. We'll treat one person at a time, and we're going to get it done. So we're excited, and we're excited about our role in that and how we can help.
I love that, man.
So we're great. Yes, it's great. It's always something.
Okay.
But yeah,
It's never ending, dude.
it's never ending. But that's the great part of it. There's always something we can do better.
Yeah.
And it is amazing when you start talking to the people on the front lines about what that could be, what they'll tell you. They're brilliant. They're brilliantly smart.
Oh yeah, and they know better than anybody else would.
They know, and I guarantee you that is any industry, any job, anything. Talk to the people that do it. They'll tell you.
Oh yeah.
They'll tell you exactly what the problem is, and they'll help you come up with a solution. And they'll do anything to help you solve it. They really, really will. So it's inspiring. I'm inspired by that crew every day. That they're so passionate about what they do and their patience, and how they can do more. How they can do it.
I love that, man. I love what you're doing with the foundation.
Yeah.
Thank you to our wonderful sponsor, Lake Men's Health Center with Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group. Guys, I know it's tough to get out and go to the doctor. I know it's challenging to find time in our busy days, but I promise you, signing up to be a part of this group with Dr. Curtis Chastain and Dr. Tyler Boudreau, you won't regret it for several reasons, but most of those being the fact of the time it saves, where you're able to get in on the same day, get that appointment done, and spend that time you need to talk with them about what your health goals and concerns are, as well as ensuring that the financial investments you have, you will be able to live out and see those come to fruition. So if you're an investing guy, you know all about and planning for the future and investing in the future. There's no other more important thing to invest in than your health. Make sure you go check them out, Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group Men's Health Center, and tell them Patty G sent you. McLavy's Limited, a proud sponsor of the Patty G Show, has been serving the Baton Rouge area proudly for 40-plus years. Gentlemen and ladies, if you're shopping for your man, there is no other place in the Baton Rouge area to get your clothing, whether it's game day needs, everyday needs, business attire, formal attire, whatever you want. Go over there, see Frank and Ashley. It's a father-daughter duo. They do incredible things in their store. They will outfit you from as simply a shirt that you need for one evening or all the way to a full wardrobe overhaul. They're going to take care of you every step of the way, and be sure and let them know that Patty G Show sent you.
Before we get you out of here, though, do you have a set list of questions we like to ask everybody?
All right.
Hard-hitting questions.
Okay, fire away.
What is something you did as a kid you wish you could still do today?
Gosh, so many things. I wish I could eat anything that I want. That would probably be it. I could eat as many Johnny's pizzas as I wanted as a kid, and nothing would happen to me.
It just falls off, man.
Oh, it just falls off.
Doesn't even hit you.
Yeah. Drink soda, eat pizza, cheeseburgers, whatever I wanted. It didn't matter. That is something. That was the picture of health. That's something that I wish I could still do.
Especially with the cafeterias y'all got over there.
Oh man, we had the best food. We've talked about this.
Yes.
We still got a line of a fried chicken day on a Wednesday. Best fried chicken in the state, I would say. It's fantastic.
We'll have to put it to the test.
Put it to the test.
Yeah.
We love you, Raising Cane's. We love it all. We love all y'all. We love everybody. But I'm a little biased.
Hey,
so, yeah.
And we'll make sure we show up. We'll do like even a blind taste test we can prepare for people.
Oh, it's a great idea.
So you've been doing a lot of things. You've been raising money, you've been helping people. What are 3 lessons that you've learned along the way?
3 lessons along the way. I think the most important thing for me as I look back from the time that I left Shreveport and Ruston is always push yourself outside of your comfort zone. and always be looking for that next thing. And I'm not saying you have to be completely uncomfortable with what you're doing, but find things where you continue to grow, continue to learn, continue to challenge yourself. And it worked for me. Everything that I learned, every uncomfortable situation, every new challenge, every new client, every new campaign taught me something. And now when I moved back to Baton Rouge to start that burn center and then took over as president, all those lessons came back. And it's because we kept climbing that ladder. That is definitely one. The other is always surround yourself with good people. And those people should be people that you trust, people that help you become who you want to be and who you need to be, and people that you can rely on for advice. And when you go for that advice, it's going to be good and honest advice. So those are two, and the third one is just keep going. You know, there are always going to be challenges. You are going to fall. You are going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. But you have to get up and you have to keep going. And that is so cliche, and people say it all the time, and you hear it, and people are like, oh, you know, you fall off your bike, get right back on. Man, it's so true. Life is hard. Everything that comes with it can be hard, but you've got to keep going. You have to find that silver lining. You have to find your passion. You have to find what you love about what you're doing. Going home and seeing your kids when you drive up, you got to keep going. The storm will pass. And so those are my three.
I love them.
All right.
What is something you love about Baton Rouge?
I love, and it's hard to see this on the day-to-day. It is hard, and we can get really lost in the negativity. But I will tell you, people in Baton Rouge look out for each other. Just have something bad happen to you, or find yourself in a hard situation. People are going to show up. People are going to call. If it's a big thing like a hurricane, if it's a global health pandemic, if it's a small thing, the only thing people need to know is that you need something, that you're struggling, and people that you don't think that you really knew well, they will be there for you. And I love that about the city. It truly, truly, truly cares about itself and its people. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do whatever we can and make it better, right?
That's right. That's right. And I think that's important. You know, we always say in our foundation, we say, look, we need to spend some of our time working in the foundation, but we have to spend some of our time working on the foundation.
Right.
And I think that's got to be true in everything that you do. And I think if we're gonna let's work in Baton Rouge, but let's work on Baton Rouge. And I think if we all take time to do both of those things, everybody a little bit here and there,
yeah,
then it's gonna continue to get better. Our CEO does something that everyone notices, and that is when he walks to the hospital, he will pick up the smallest piece of trash off the ground and he'll throw it away. It doesn't matter. And what's funny is we all start doing it. And in a small way, that is something that he does when he's just walking, that he is working on Baton Rouge General. He's making it cleaner. So imagine if we were in Baton Rouge and we were walking somewhere and we just picked up a piece of trash and threw it away. Would it be a cleaner city? Yeah, you bet you it would.
And it'll create a chain of events.
That's right.
Where other people see it, other people
That's right.
have the same desire.
That's right.
To help and improve.
If you treat someone well, if you handle a difficult situation, I know we've talked a lot about that. Well,
yeah.
If you help somebody, will it trickle? Yeah, you bet it will. That's all you have to do.
Oh, 100%.
So yeah, we need to live here and work in Baton Rouge and work on Baton Rouge.
I'm right there with you, man. So what can I do to help you?
We've talked about this. I want you to come for a tour. I'd love to come walk. I'd love for you to walk around. I'd love for you to meet some of our folks, see some of the projects that we've done, hear some of the stories, have lunch. and take that experience forward and share what you've seen there.
Yeah. Let people know what's happening inside the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come see us. Come see it. Come walk around.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm all in, man.
Good. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I appreciate your time, man.
No, I appreciate
Thank you so
you.
much for coming
Of
out
course,
here
thank
and
you.
sharing the story of the foundation and what y'all have going on, and really just what you do each and every day.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
And my closing thing, look, if it's not Baton Rouge General Foundation, fine. I would invite everyone out there to find something or somewhere, a cause, big or small, that lights you up, that excites you, that you feel is a need, that you can really support and help, big or small, and get involved. Donate small, donate time, your talent, your treasure, whatever it may be. Find whatever that is and do it, and I guarantee you'll have a better and more enriching life.
Yeah. Look, that's 100%. So guys, gals, whoever's listening, whoever's watching, Eric said it best. Doesn't matter what it is, find something you're passionate about and just do what you can to help out. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. It's been the latest episode of the Patty G Show. We're out.